Hi, this is Priyanka and I welcome you all to Srijan Wednesday webinars. For those who are attending for the first time, this is a community initiative by Srijan Technologies where we will be hosting webinars every alternate Wednesday. We will have speakers from different domains who will talk about subjects like front-end technologies, UI/UX, mobile apps, media, entrepreneurship, community building, digital marketing, and many more. In today's webinar, Nilesh Patel will talk about strategies to convert your website visitors to leads in the first 45 minutes. And the last 15 minutes will be for a Q&A round. Please press the raise hand button on your control panel to ask your questions by speaking into your microphone, or you can type your questions in the chat box below. I would now like to introduce our speaker for today's webinar. We have with us Nilesh Patel. Nilesh is the CEO and founder of Lead Squared, a company dealing in marketing software for entrepreneurs and small businesses. Prior to Lead Squared, Nilesh was the founder of Proteans, a recognized leader in software product development services space, which was later acquired by Symphony Teleca Corporation in 2010. So without wasting any more time, I think we should get started. Nilesh, over to you.
Thank you, Priyanka, and thank you, Srijan team, for having me here for this session. And thank you all for joining the webinar. As Priyanka mentioned, today we'll be talking about how to increase the conversion of websites into leads for the business. It has been a topic which is probably written over, thousands, I won't say thousands of probably, millions of blogs would have written this on this topic. But even though this is a very well talked about topic, you can still see marketers focusing enough on this aspect of marketing or increasing conversion of visitors to leads, which can give them immediate results both from the plan standpoint and the bottom line. So I thought it will be a good topic for us to discuss today, and so let's just get into it. So a quick slide. I've got this particular, when I was researching for this webinar, I found this particular slide where I figured out that a lot of marketers spend a budget acquiring customers, which basically means buying clicks or from various channels, which include your Google ads, and there are a lot of them, right? Email channels, your social channels, and the new channels of native advertising which is coming up, and so on and so forth. So a lot of money gets spent there, but the proportionate budget which is assigned to conversion is a very small percentage of that. So I think that's an area where a significant impact can be made on the amount which is spent in the acquisition side, right? So that's the current statistics. However, it is changing, right? I mean, so more businesses and marketers are realizing that all the money which is being spent on getting visitors, we should equally look at the conversion path and see how we can optimize that to make most of our traffic. So that is changing, but that's what the stats as it stands today. Now, increasing website conversion. So, I mean, what's the motive, right? So, obviously, it's I'll talk about that. It's a simple thing. I mean, first and foremost, we need to. Why do we need to do it? I mean, there's no reason for it, which is to get more leads from our current marketing efforts. And I'll cover what are the simple strategies and tactics we can use to improve the conversion, and the tools we can use to measure the conversion performance. So why do we have to increase the conversion, right? I mean, first and foremost, this is a cliched line, people used it, so I thought not that I thought I'm going to use it because everybody else used it. I just feel that it is very important line, and time and again businesses forget that. But I think the fundamental thing is the buying, the way people buy stuff has changed substantially, and the buyers are in the process, they are in the control of the buying process. So I think that's a fundamental change which has to happen in the mindset of the marketer. The marketer understand that. I think otherwise, everything else will not change if this particular fundamentally not synced in. So that is one of the key reason we should focus on. Think about when we think of marketing from an online standpoint. And the second, because the conversion paths are so under optimized today that by simple things we can increase the conversion. So it's not a lot of work to do that. By making simple improvements, we can actually drive the conversion. So that is one of the reasons why we should do it, right? I mean, because this is not a whole lot of work for us to actually seek a budget to go ahead and improve the conversion from a marketer's, even if you talk about the budget part. Then the competition across channels is increasing, and it is going to increase further, right? So which means that you have to spend more and more money to acquire visitors, right? And if that is going to happen, what is going to be most important is to reducing the cost of cost of a sale, whatever the case may be. So today our focus is primarily on the lead side. So increasing the cost of leads, the most fundamental factor is the conversion. So you can double the conversion, right? Your cost of lead goes 50% down by 50%, which is improvement. If you see, if you math, you will find that the cost on the marketing side on lead basis by 50% will be huge. And what happens today, most of the websites are, they convert less than 1% or less than 2% of their visitors into leads. So if you increase the percentage of conversion from 2 to 3%, you're gaining 50% from the same marketing investment, which is huge, right? And the tools which are available, which can help you understand the performance, help you identify where are the opportunities to improve the conversion, not that expensive today. So you can use those tools to identify and improve the conversion for your business, right? Now let's look at some of the factors which affect the conversion. So what are the key factors, right? So these are the ones I think are the most important ones if we can look at, and change, make small changes to each of those factors. It can help us increase the conversion substantially. So page load times, right? I mean, how fast your website loads. What's the message and positioning on your website? Whatever you say there, is it making sense to the visitor whom you want to attract? The way it's laid out, the way your website is laid out, where the places where you have put the calls to action. What are other people saying about your business on your website? So it could be testimonials or any other credibility building measures. And what is that offer which you have which will encourage person to convert, the visitor to convert? So that is what will, in my opinion, are the key fundamental factors which will affect the conversion. So let's talk about them in a little bit more detail and see how that how that affects the conversion. So first and foremost, page, right? I mean, it is very common, and most of the people have experienced this. I mean, or rather, all of the people would experience this. I mean, how often do you come to a website which doesn't load? So you go to Google, you search something, you hit, click a particular link, it doesn't load up, and what do? You just close the browser. So when that happens, the website, which is supposed to get the traffic, is an opportunity to even display their business to you first of all. And even if they did, the page loads slowly, the experience is so poor, very unlikely they would ever share your contact information with them, what are the offer, right? Which means that if the sites are not faster, that will affect the conversion. Now, there are a couple of tools out there you can check. One is webpage.test.org. It's a very popular tool. And then you've got Google Page Insights. These tools help you identify specific issues in your page loads to go ahead and fix that. So these are you can do that in like no time and identify what is stopping your page from loading slow and loading fast, and how you can go ahead and improve it. If you also see, most of the site owner, which not most, I would say that will be too generic, but a lot of site owners want to typically go for the cheapest hosting possible on the earth, right? Now, when you go the cheapest option there, which necessarily means that it may not be the fastest option for you, right? So that is again has to think, as in if you spend so much on the business marketing, why not allocate a little bit more budget on hosting a site, right? I mean, and hosting it on proper server, which is obviously going to be more expensive than what the cheapest options are, definitely will give you a better page name, right? So those things will affect. Then details and find. So I've just taken a sample of a page inside. I did a quick run on Srijan's website, and so the score looks good, right? I mean, there are a couple of items which needs to be, which are not really red items. So if you have, if you see this report on sites where the problems are, you would find a lot of red items here, which will basically affect the load time. So you can check these reports and see what items you can fix and which ones you think don't need to fix. So that'll help you. And then this report will also tell you what is the first byte load time, and what are the image load times and so on and so forth to actually get a complete view. Now, what would be a good page load time is a question which commonly comes up, and there are various answers to it. And achieving a two-second page load time, as the last slide mentioned, is difficult. You really need to invest on good infrastructure. However, if your page load times is 20 seconds or 15 seconds, I think that can be improved. And there have been certain experiments which are done by larger companies which attract a lot of traffic. So they had come to it. I was reading a report, had at a 15%, 12 to 13 second load time, which they reduced by 8% to 8 seconds, and then to probably 5 seconds or 4 seconds, and it affected their conversion by more than 20 to 30%. So that's huge, right? I mean, for that size, if you can increase the conversion performance by a double digit, it can be a swing of several $1 million, right? But for a smaller businesses, again, it could mean getting no lead to getting some leads, which still is a huge for the business. The second point which I'd like to sort of talk about is the messaging and positioning, right? As in, what is that you want to tell to your visitors, and what message will resonate with them. Now, this is not necessarily a problem of digital marketing per se, but it is a problem of how you want to position the business in general. However, with digital, you experiment and modify the messages and see which one attracts more interest, right? If you see so this is I've taken this from Visual Website Operator. Now, if you see, there are two pages which were tested by this company. It's a job board company, and in the first, you can see the message itself not visible. It doesn't tell me what do I do here, or either is it for me or not. But on the other side, you see, you can see the message line, and it attracts the attention of the visitor. Now, this particular, if you see the challenger, got 18%, 8% improvement in results in the engagement goal this business set up for itself. Now, you see, the simple thing which was modified. The message, obviously, there are the layout elements also modified here. I think this comprised the majority of the change which helped improve the engagement, right? So what kind of practices, what are the few best practices we can keep in mind while crafting the position? So first is, ideally, I mean, the value proposition should be simple to understand, and it's benefit driven, as in what isn't it there for the visitor who's coming on the site to look at. I mean, why they should be, it should not be about us or about the business itself. It should be about how your business is actually helping or can help other visitor who's landing on your site. So it should not really talk about me. It should talk about you. So the focus should be on the visitor, right? So given that, whatever, let's say if a visitor is coming with a certain problem in mind, and if the website talks about how a business solves that problem, right, then you are able to build a connect with the visitor, right? That is what matters or would be most important from a positioning and messaging standpoint. So I think if you're able to clearly point out that sort of message in for your business on the website, you will be able to build a stronger connect with the visitor as soon as they land in, and which basically will result in higher engagement and potentially converting them to a lead, right? There are a lot of businesses, overdo the SEO element, right? I mean, they would go ahead and write the same letter, same word 100 times on the page. That doesn't look very natural. It looks pretty odd. And even if you do, there's nobody stopping you to not do SEO. I mean, you should do SEO for sure. But the fundamental thing is it should look very natural. It shouldn't look stuffed, and it should not affect the message necessarily. So you should be careful of that and try to avoid overdoing the SEO part. And a lot of times, people start writing a lot about how good they are and what they do. So I mean, there's a lot of fluff in it, right? I mean, visitors don't care about who you are really. I mean, all they care about is what is that you can do for them, and what is it, what benefit they can accrue by working with you or potentially understand from what you're saying. So what is that? That is one of the fundamental things they care about. They do not have time to understand about your history. So that needs to be understood by the business, and similar, and according to that, the positioning and the messaging has to be derived. Then let's talk about the navigation parts, right? So how does the navigation affect? I've taken a simple example. This is being taken. This is an experiment which is being run by one of the companies, and I've just taken the basic screens here. If you see the two pieces of test here, the sign up button goes up in one case, and the sign up button is down here. Now the version A gets 75 signups, and the version B for the same traffic gets 30 signups. So now you can see clearly there's more than 100% jump, or close to 150% increase in the sign-up rates between the two pages. Very significant, right? So the layout can affect the conversion substantially. This is another example where there were multiple tests which were run, but I've just taken the final screen here. In this layout, this particular company, it's where you can post your CVs and stuff. This particular company got 8% more job application rate by testing multiple layouts. So this was another example of how layouts can increase your modification in layouts can increase your application rate, your sign-up rates. Then on navigation, this firm again tried different keywords on the navigation bar, and this increased the click-through rates on each of those, not each of those, but the aggregate click-through rate on this by more than 200%, which is substantial for a website, which offers so many links to click, right? So increasing this itself was huge, but that was achieved by making the navigation element more relevant to the audience which they were serving. Now, simple best practices on how we can structure the navigation and layout. I mean, first of all, the layout doesn't have to be too cluttery. I mean, if you see this example, you can see 1,000 things here. A visitor coming in don't know what to do on this side unless you know that your visitors really want this. I mean, to a normal person, this seems like too much information on this page and is not making any sense. So simple layout structure, more white spaces, less copy, better images or more images on the page helps explain the business better, rather than putting heap of text in the page to explain what you're trying to do here. Same time, making the website responsive is equally important. So because a lot of traffic, based on which numbers you want to believe, but a double-digit 30% is what it said is visiting the sites on mobile, and it varies across categories of businesses. So if you're somebody who is focusing on students or consumer businesses, you can see a higher rate of people visiting your site on mobile versus if you're a B2B traditional and targeting large businesses, you may have a smaller percentage of mobile users coming to your site. But whatever the case is, right, the fact that the site needs to be responsive is becoming more and more important, and one should have a responsive design for their website, right? So that's the best practice. Then few simple things, I mentioned them earlier. So you should have ample white spaces in your website. Doesn't have to be cluttery. You don't have to mention too much text on it on each of the page. The copy should be brief. You should whatever you're writing, try to cut down the message, retain the message, but reduce the number of words you use to express those messages, right? If you like, I mean, you can probably engage on a copywriter, a professional copywriter, to help you structure that message. I mean, they do a great job of of getting the message out in the way you would like, and have fewer navigation items. It's always it's always helpful. And then you should avoid generic navigation labels. So people don't understand. You would have seen sites where if you go to the navigation, they would say who we are, what we do, that kind of labels. I mean, that doesn't make any sense to visitor coming in. Let's say if you're a wellness product company, you should say that there should be a link which says wellness products, right? Just somebody goes and clicks that. So that's simple things we need to keep in mind. And then as much as possible, if you can avoid drop downs, there's nothing like it, right? I mean, obviously if you have to have a drop down, then you can stop that. But if you have fewer, if you can remove the clutter on the navigation, that'll be huge benefit from a conversion standpoint, because that'll drive the engagement with the visitors. Then another important factor, which actually can change the conversion substantially. I've seen this affecting conversion substantially in my personal experience as well, is the testimonials. A lot of times, just by adding a testimonial about what your customers are saying about your business can improve the conversion substantially, right? So you can see in this example here, by only adding a testimonial here in middle, the conversion improved by 34%, which is huge. Otherwise, if you see, the page doesn't look bad at all, right? I mean, there's nice images, it is very clear what they do. They have got a good copy here, but just by adding a testimonial, they could modify they could increase the conversion substantially. So that is very important, and you should sprinkle your website with testimonials all over the place as much as possible. If you are including the names and maybe images of your customers, a lot of times people do not pay attention to the quality of images used, but I think that is equally important. So not only what is written in the testimonial, but also what is if the person is if you have a photograph there which basically vibrant, smiling, that helps, right? And the quality of the picture is important. So please take care of those things. If that'll help improve the conversion. There's another example. In this case, there's nothing changed on this page, right? I mean, on the page on the left has the same text as on the right, except they've included the testimonials here, and this increased the conversion by 15%. Now, 15% is no small feat, right? I mean, it's for sites which do business, which has a lot of volume of traffic. Any double-digit change can modify the revenue and bottom line substantially. So this is a huge, has a huge impact, the testimonial piece. Now, how can you reflect the testimonial on your website? Right? It can be customer logos, right? It can be customer testimonials in the text format, your traditional is what we typically do. You can also look at testimonials in the video format. And if you invest, video obviously is an expensive, it's a little bit expensive. I won't say a whole lot now. So that's there. Then if you have other elements where you can show the credibility. So let's say if somebody is buying or giving their credit card, right? If you say that you have a money back guarantee or something like that, then it basically builds trust and credibility with the buyer. They would perceive that, okay, if I don't like this, I'll at least get my money back, right? And in some cases, you may see that a particular website or a business can, there are a lot of businesses where there are third-party authorities or independent bodies which provides accreditation to the businesses, and if you are one of them, then you should display that on the on your website to say that you are verified or approved or authorized by a third party or the government, if that is the case. That helps build the credibility with the visitors. Then this is an interesting one, right? This is a call to action. I mean, what you say on your call to action buttons can also impact the conversion substantially. in this case, if you see, in one case, the website is booking a free survey, is asking to do a quick survey of a particular business, right, of a consumer business, of a consumer. And then in the second case, it says get a free quote. The free quote gives the business 60% more conversion. Now you can see there is nothing else which is changed on the site. Everything else remains the same. Just the call to action text has substantially changed the conversion for this business. So we don't pay a whole lot of attention on what we write on the call to action button, right? Most of the people, you would see even today a lot of forms are still saying submit. But submit is not that action oriented, right? If you're let's say asking somebody to join a program, you should say join a program now instead of saying submit, right? It's likely that such action oriented text on those call to action will have an impact on making the visitor basically fill the form and do the sign up. Then the most important factor in my opinion, apart from other elements which we discussed, keeping that aside and keeping that in mind, the key reason why people convert into a lead is by and large there is a reason which is they're probably getting something in return of sharing their information. Unless you have a contact us form, and typically contact us forms are usually not filled a whole lot. But if you have offer, let's say, which is giving something of value to a visitor, which they perceive immediate value after they hit your website, then you will be able to convert them into a lead. Now the business may ask a question that maybe that lead is not ready to buy right now, and why should I be focused on them? It's a business to business decision, but in my opinion, it makes a whole lot of sense to have an offer on the site which will at least help you convert a visitor into a lead. Now whether that lead buys from you or not now or not doesn't matter at the moment. I mean, obviously it's a lead for your sales team to probably check out, or maybe that lead you never follow up. It's just your going to your newsletter subscription page. But the important thing is that you're able to know the visitor from that point onwards. It's a huge deal, and one should use offers to do that. So offer and the quality of the offer is very important and fundamental in changing the visitor into a lead and moving the visitor into a lead. So if you don't have offers, you should go and build some. If you cannot build offers, you can potentially buy offers. I mean, there are a lot of companies out there who sell reports where you can put your own logo and stuff. So if you cannot build offer because of lack of bandwidth or whatever, you can buy those offers, or you can collate the offers by available resources on the internet, as long as you can do it legally, I would say, and put that offer on the website or in various sections of the website, so that you get the chance to, or the opportunity to convert them into a lead. Right? This is another example of an offer here. So now, what are the few best practices? I mean, simple. I mean, the call to action buttons need to have action-driven text, ideally, as much as possible, right? You should have more white space around your CTA button. It shouldn't be cluttered, so that the button is visible, or at least it should have colors which are not odd but go different from other colors on the page. If you've seen movie Godfather, I'm sure you would remember the line that I'll give you an offer you cannot refuse, right? So that kind of offer you should think of to put up on your website or other campaigns if you're running. Then in the offer, it has seen that if you show a person that, let's say, for a particular offer of a particular white paper or whatever research you're sharing with the potential visitor, if it has been downloaded by 1,000 people, then mention that there. Why? Because if the visitor perceives that this particular offer is being downloaded by 1,000 people, there must be something good about it, and they will also go ahead and download it. So giving that extra extra information on near the offer will help you increase the the conversion, because there's a hard effect. I mean, if everybody else is doing, let me also see what's going on there, right? And then if your offer, has if somebody's read that stuff, whatever you're sharing, if they've tried it or read it, and there are people with authority who say, okay, this is a good deal, a good thing, then you can mention those testimonials. So there's the additional credibility element for that particular offer to drive the signups for that particular offer. You can drive that. So a couple of tactics you can use here to drive the. So these are simple tactical elements which you can do right away, by and large. Is if you go to the website of this particular gentleman, right, or and there are thousands of websites like that. After being there on the site for a few seconds or maybe a few minutes, you can configure that. You can the pop-up will come out and will ask you to submit your contact information in return of giving you something, right? So this particular, these are small tools out there which you can use on your website. These are either pop-up tools or pop-under tools. They're called by various names. So you can check those out, and you can put them immediately. These will drive quick conversions from day one if you have obviously visitors coming to your site. Other things which you can use is you may have noticed that a lot of websites come up with the top bar. So these are the top bars which are available on the top above the navigation on the website, and which you can put some information there and have a download now or whatever button. These attract a lot of whoever visitor comes in, they will see that the first. I've seen that on the Srijan's website as well. It's called Hello Bar, is another tool for that, and you can quickly convert the visitor into a lead. Then you have if you're running a blog or active blog or out there, then you can use each of the blog page or the blog roll page to put some offer on the space on the right side if you're using a 2-column layout, right? And then you can have certain conversion button here to say download this particular thing. So anybody who comes in here, you're giving them 2 opportunities to share the information. If they like any of these, they can, right? Or let's say if you're a software company, doling out free trial, then you can sort of use this as an opportunity to convert the visitor into a free trial. The other tactic is there's a tool called Bounce Exchange. If you've already been looked at it, it's basically gives you the opportunity to convert a visitor into a lead at the point when they're leaving your site. So as soon as you go to the browser close button, right? And there could be other rules like how long this person is on the website, for a few minutes or a couple of seconds, whatever. So as soon as you go to the browser close button, you'll get a pop-up which says how can I help you or whatever. So you can probably customize these texts and all that, and maybe also put a form here. So you can, this is again simple tactics. So somebody has been on a website but is not filling anything, before they leave you are still giving them an opportunity to share that information. So this is again can be used. Then live chat is another way to convert visitors into leads. So a lot of times somebody may come in, they may see some information out there on your business site, but they still have some additional questions. If you have a chat tool available on your site, they may get the opportunity to ask you that additional question before they go out of the site. So that can again help you increase the conversion. But obviously the downside is that you need to invest in somebody who is manning the chat all the time. So that's something which you have to decide for your business, whether it makes sense or not. But these tools are relatively inexpensive today. So you can, if you'd like, you can try that. Then there's a new set of tools coming in. This one is these are called survey tools, right? And so what they do is you can configure a variety of questions. You can ask to a visitor based on certain logic of them visiting a certain page or being on a certain page for so long or whatever, or being on the website for so long. And you can ask them to fill these, you can ask them questions which they can quickly, answer and go and, instead of asking them to fill a survey monkey thing, you can ask them to just answer one question at a time and send it. So now this way you can, let's say if you have a homepage message, and if somebody is looking at that page or the pricing page, let's say, right, and somebody is looking at that page for some minute, and then they still are there for a minute or so or half a minute, then you quickly throw this pop-up saying, is there something which you don't understand or would like to share something? Is that something, so you can ask certain question here and they can select one and say send. In these tools you can also ask a visitor to share their contact information, so you can have you can configure those. But these are again interesting way to engage the visitor and potentially convert them into a lead. So this is another tactic. So I've covered several tactics here. There are a lot more, but I think the ones which I think can drive the immediate conversion I have sort of covered. And then I'm going to quickly talk about some of the tools which you can look at, right, in terms of converting. So Crazy AI, ClickTail, I'm sure people would have looked at. So you can see a heat map of how, which parts of the website or which part of the web page a visitor is clicking or interested in. And in ClickTail, you can also see the video of and how a particular visit has been. So it's like a visit record you can look at. So let's say a visitor comes in on home page, goes to this page, what all they are looking at, all that stuff you can look in sort of a video format in ClickTail. So that's a pretty interesting tool. Then you can use Google Analytics, the goals in Google Analytics to set up the conversion from visitors to leads. A pretty straightforward way to do it. You can do that. Then when I was researching, I found a tool called Paddy Track. I have not used it yet, so that's a disclaimer. But what they say is, which is what I found it very interesting, is that if you plug that tool in, you'll be able to look at the conversion from a historical standpoint. So if you start the setting up goal in Google Analytics today, you will start the conversion. You'll start seeing the goal conversion from today onwards. But using Paddy Track, they claim that they can help you find the conversion from the historical perspective. So pretty interesting tool. I think one can look at. Then for website A/B testing, you can go for tools like Visual Website Optimizer or Optimizely. There's a tool from Google as well, but it's it's free tool. These two are paid tools, so you can use Google Experiment for that as well. But really, it may involve some technical challenges because it's not straightforward. But because it's a little technical in nature, so one can try that for free if you'd like. Otherwise, these paid tools are rather simpler with compared to Google Experiments. And then if you're using landing pages for converting the paid traffic, which is your ads and others, to leads, then you can use Lead Squared and Mounts to sort of do that. There are other tools like that. These are two you can check out. And so let's quickly recap what we talked. So we talked about why conversion is important, pretty straightforward. Some of the few tactics and strategies of what we can use to improve the conversion, and tools we can use to measure and improve the conversion. So with that said, this is what I'd like to cover in our session today, and I'll let Priyanka address the audience, and maybe we can take a few questions here.
Yeah, thanks Nilesh, that was a great session. And thank you so much for sharing your knowledge with us so freely. We would like to take a couple of questions here. So please press the raise hand button if you want to ask your question on the microphone, or you can type your questions in the chat box below. In the meanwhile, while we get questions, I would like to ask Nilesh, you talked about a lot of tactics and strategies that one can use. So is there a way that a person can actually figure out which strategies would actually work for them better? Is there a mix of strategies that they can use?
I think the simple stuff on the website, which I talked about, the top bars and the exit pop-ups, those things can be implemented pretty quickly. I think what is needed for that really is, which is where most of the marketers actually, or the business owners, if you have small businesses on the call, face challenges, the offer, as in what should I give in return of taking something back, because all of us have contact forms, right? All of us have contact us pages, but seldom people fill them because there's nothing which you're giving them in return of that. So I think the first suggestion I have is to for the marketers to think of some offer. Now take an example, right? Webinar is an offer, right? So what we're running today here, so you have an offer for audiences, people who come to the website, they would have seen, okay, I see the webinar button here, it sounds interesting to me, they'll come and submit their information. So webinar is an offer. So I think first thing is some offer needs to be thought about, and then these are the tactics of putting a top bar, or putting an exit pop-up. I mean, these are all simple things to do, which you can do anywhere today, but it won't give you as much mileage if you if you don't have a offer versus if you have an offer.
Okay, so a question just came in. Ruchi wants to ask, do we have some free tools to try and experiment on these strategies?
Yeah, there are a lot of free tools actually. So all these, so I don't have all the names here, but most of the tools I talked about here will have certain either free trial or a free version altogether. So you can search on exit pop-up and you will find out few tools for that. If you are a WordPress, if you have WordPress site, then you will find a lot of tools on the WordPress for that. For example, the top bar I showed you. So that's a WordPress top bar which we have built, Lead Squad has built, it's freely available. Then Hello Bar, which is another one which Srijan would have, you can see on their site. That's again free for certain visitors. So if you have less than 100 or so visitors a month or a day, I don't know, then you can use it for free. So I think those are tools are available for free. You can just look them up.
Okay. So Rahul here has raised his hand, and I believe he wants to ask a question. So I am unmuting you, Rahul. You can speak up your question. Rahul? Hi. Yeah. So you can ask your question, but you need to turn off your speaker first. Okay, so I feel Rahul has some issue, so probably he just wants to ask if he can get a copy of this presentation. So yes, we'll be sending you a copy of this presentation in our next mailer immediately after the webinar. So does anyone else has any other question? So we have got a question from Sunil. Sunil wants to ask, developing websites using tools like WordPress, Joomla will take long time to download the page. Is it true?
Yes, these are CMS systems, so they may have a higher, page load time, but I think it's also a function of hosting, primarily hosting. So if you take a premium hosting of any of these products, you should be able to hit a good page load time. If you go for a, but obviously if your page is only 2 lines of text and it's hosted on HTML, it's an HTML file, it will load faster. So obviously, as you gain flexibility in using these CMS systems, you would probably lose some on the speed, but it's not that much really. I mean, improve, you can improvise on that by using a better infrastructure.
All right. Thank you for your answer, Nilesh. Mayank here wants to ask a question, so I'm unmuting Mayank right now.
Yeah, Nilesh.
Yeah, I can't hear him.
Yeah, hi Nilesh. Yes, I just wanted to ask that a lot of these strategies are easier for businesses who have a set line of services and products, a defined line of services and products in place to implement them. What in case of evolving businesses in which the services are continuously evolving over a period of time? Let's say in an year they are moving on towards another service or expanding. How would an online strategy work for them?
Yes, very good question, Mayank. I think I would be saying that we live in an ideal world if we say that everybody knew exactly what to say and on the website or what their customers want. I mean, it's hard for businesses to find that. I think two things can be done. I mean, first is as the business evolves, I think the business itself has to identify who their customers are, right? And that will help them define the message or the pitch for that. However, having said that, you have the ability to test your messages using tools which are available today. So you may run those too. You can have a message today on the site and run that with another message as you are as you're evolving in your business, and you will be able to find the lines which are working better and are resonating better for for your visitors. So I think that would be from a test standpoint, but fundamentally, as you said, right, if the business evolves, I think there is no replacement of the business where the business has to understand the customer and what the real problems are, and using these tools as an aid to do the research of what they actually understand, or what is that you understand about them. So you can try different these tools to test those hypotheses and identify the ones which are actually working for you.
Thank you.
Okay, so moving forward, we have another question by Kushal. He wants to ask how to make the website viral, and does SEO help in getting more eyeballs?
Yeah, I mean, I think SEO helps, so that is the answer, yes. And how effectively can you do is the question. So I think that's the subject of another webinar, I guess. And then how to make anything viral. I think I have not done personally anything viral in my own career, so I don't think I'm qualified to speak that. But I think whatever I've read and heard is anything which goes viral has to have interest of a lot of people, and unless you can pull up something like that, there are slim chances of that thing going viral.
Okay, that's a fair answer. Thanks, Nilesh. So, does anyone have any other question? Okay, so anyway, in the meanwhile, I'll just ask you one last question, Nilesh. What are the tools and or strategies that have actually worked for you or your company or your past ventures?
The most important thing which which has helped us is so two things we have done. So first is from a conversion standpoint. So I mean, if you see a business, typically a lot of them struggle getting the traffic. So that is a problem which a business has to solve. And the second is once the traffic comes in, then you have to convert, right? So getting traffic is one part. So we have done a few things on that. But so it's like writing blog, churning content which is useful to your customers, doing things like what we do today, like webinars and stuff. So these are like all offer side. So first is the traffic part. So we do a mix of paid and unpaid there, right? So we get organic traffic, we do paid traffic, and we have partner traffic coming in. Then what we have seen, the strategy which has worked the best for us is the conversion element. So we have invested a lot in the offer part. So if you come to our site and you go to visit our blog page, you would find something lying there which could be of interest to you, which probably is relevant to that blog post. So if you, let's say, are on a particular blog where we talked about something to do with Facebook marketing or Facebook landing pages, you would find an ebook there which says how to build a Facebook landing page or something like that. Now that is more relevant to the content out there, and we see downloads of those happening, which gives us conversion from visitor to lead. The top bar has helped us a lot. So if we have a top bar, we continue to get leads. If we remove that, we are not, which means that if we have it, we'll get more leads. So we have it basically, but the top bar without a offer doesn't work that well. So you need to have offers. So we have offers. So we invested in that. So what are the offers we do? So we have ebooks, we do webinar sessions. Sometimes we do offline events, which are again sort of offer. So these are the few things which we do and which has helped us increase the conversion substantially. I'm talking about from the first visitor to lead.
All right. Okay. So, right. I have another question by Amrit. I'm not very sure how relevant it is to the webinar, but I'm still going to take it. Amrit wants to ask, the social media ads are pretty expensive. Is there a way that we can figure out which social media site to use? That is Facebook, LinkedIn, Google, that without spending a lot of money on them?
I think LinkedIn is expensive. Probably that's what you were referring to if you're a B2B business. But for certain type of offers and attracting audience, that's the cost. And it is expensive, but it may do a good job if you have offer relevant to that. So, I mean, expensive is in the context of whether you can win business or not. Even if it is a 1,000 rupee lead or 5,000 rupee lead or a 10,000 rupee lead, if you're going to do a business with them, which is worth several $100,000, then spending that much money is no big deal, right? So it's in the context of that one needs to look at. Now, with respect to Facebook, I mean, there are strategies which you can apply, but I think it's again, the cost will not go down by below a certain threshold. So, but I think Facebook still is relatively very cheap as compared to the Google PPC and the LinkedIn's. I feel Facebook is relatively cheaper than both of them, but again, it may or may not work for the business because you may not find your audience there. People perceive that it works for B2C because you a lot of consumers there, and a lot of consumer people feel that they don't get a lot of value out of it. But we have seen it working for both B2C businesses as well as B2B businesses. In fact, for Lead Squared, we get I won't substantial, but we get a good portion of our leads from our social media ads, and we also convert them into business. So so Facebook works for us. I don't see any issue, and the costs are okay for us. I mean, I don't see they're high or low as compared to others. I mean, they're lower, if at all, than higher when I compare it with other sources we invest in.
All right. Thank you, Nilesh, for answering that question. Amrit, I hope you're satisfied with the answer. If you have more questions, please feel free to write them in. So Sunil wants to ask, so the bottom line is that getting the contact information of the visitor is conversion. Is he right?
Yeah, so if we are talking about lead from website, then that's what we are calling conversion. If you're talking about, if we would have taken this discussion in the context of an e-commerce website, then would have been conversion, would have been an order, as in something which you basically exchange. So they share the credit card information and pay for it. So that would be called conversion. So conversion is used in the context of what business are we talking, but not necessarily it is being used in the context of B2B where you are actually converting them into a customer, paid customer. So, so in this context, it is only referred to from visitor to lead.
All right. Thank you. So I'm going to take one last question here. Ruchi is asking, what should we keep in mind while we are converting our first leads, especially for launching a niche service?
I didn't get the question completely. Can you said, what do we keep in mind for converting first leads? I didn't quite understand that.
Probably she just wants to ask what are the things that one should keep in mind when we are, converting leads for a niche service.
I think if you can just say what is the benefit of that service to the audience, coming in to, what benefit they will get from that service. I think that's the first thing you can, but that's anyway the benefit statement. I don't know, I mean, it's a very pretty generic question. Typically, the way I would look at it, right? So this is how we have tried to, address that, and I'm sure we'll learn more as we go on. But today, we are selling a marketing software for businesses. So our customers are typically marketers or inside sales managers or marketing managers, right? And these marketing managers, what is interest to them? Interest to them is leads, how to generate leads. So we write about that. We write about how to generate leads from Facebook, how to optimize, how to generate leads from PPC ads, how to do remarketing, how to do this, how to do that, which is all related to lead generation. And we find audience which comes to us. Obviously, we see audience who comes to us and says, well, can you do lead generation for me? Yes, we say no to them, obviously, because that's not what we do. However, we still we get marketing managers coming to us because we have written about a subject which is of interest to them and they found us. So I think when you're talking about niche service, you may basically talk about other things related to your service which your potential customers are interested in, and when they come in, they will look at the stuff and probably download an offer or something which could be of relevance to them. So I think that would be what I would suggest to you. If I would have known your niche service, I would have told probably some other examples, but I hope this helps.
Thank you, Nilesh. Ruchi, if you have a follow-up question, please type in. Otherwise, we'll just close this webinar. So I would really like to thank Nilesh once again for joining us in this webinar. Nilesh, I'm sure everyone found your presentation very interesting and insightful.
Thank you for giving me the opportunity.
Yes, okay. And thanks a lot everyone for joining us in this webinar today. If you guys have more questions, please drop a mail to us at webinars@srijan.in and we will get them answered for you from Nilesh. And I would also like to announce that our next webinar is on how everyone can be an inventor by Mishkin Ingabale on 11th of June. Mishkin is a co-founder of Biosense, an internationally recognized medtech company developing disruptive diagnostic devices. For registrations, you'll be getting a mail from our site. So stay tuned and have a great day.